Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Sorry for the delay. We were having some technical difficulties, but we're here now. So happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome back to Black Prose Book Club, where Black lives, Black books, and Black writers have always mattered. I'll be your host for this evening. My name is Oshale of Oshi Reads, and we will be discussing our book pick of the last few months, Escaping Exodus by Nicky Draden.
Yay! Oh, also, for those who don't know, hi, I'm Brittany, aka Melanin Eclectic. I cannot show my face today. We just having a day, so we're just going to accept that for what it is. But I am so happy to be back in our regular scheduled Black Prose programming right now.
Yes.
Woo!
Yes. So thank you all for joining us tonight. We are going to go ahead and get started. Our wonderful Troy Nicole is not going to be joining us this evening. She has some family things that she is handling, so we will have to discuss it with her at a later time, but she is doing well for those that are wondering. But we're going to go ahead and dive in.
Okay, you want to give a synopsis? Because this is not your normal genre, so I kind of want to hear your synopsis of it, to be honest.
This was interesting. Okay. So with Escaping Exodus, we have, I feel like there's the bigger overarching story, and then we follow a few characters.
Yeah.
So the bigger overarching story is we kind of have this civilization of humans who essentially live within a spacefaring beast. And what we gather from the story is that Earth became uninhabitable after a certain point, and human beings had to leave Earth and go into space. And they were in space, and then that also became something that was not sustainable. And so what they decided to do was to basically make their homes inside these giant spacefaring beasts. And so that's the background of the story. When we get in a little bit deeper, we're following this particular civilization of Afro-descended people. And they are, we get introduced to their cultures, their customs, and how they are living within the beast. And their relationship with the spacefaring beast is like a parasitic one. And we follow specifically two women or young girls. They're rather young. We have Adalah and we have Seska. And they're polar opposites in their society. So we have Seska, who is heir to the throne. So this is a polyamorous matriarchal society. That's another thing. Where the women outnumber the men, and the family unit is basically built up of multiple women and then one man. I think one man, and then there are different roles within the family unit. Which we can go into later. But essentially, we have Seska, who is the heir to the matriarchal line to the throne. And then we have Adalah, who is from kind of one of the lower classes in their society. And she is a beast worker. But she, when the story opens, she gets a promotion into a very coveted position. But she's not a beast worker.
She's a beast worker.
Beast worker, yeah. So for me, right out the gate, it was just being dumped into the deep end. There weren't a lot of explanations on what was what, and you kind of had to figure things out along the way. But that would be my synopsis. My synopsis is we follow these two girls. They're from completely polar opposite sides class-wise. They have this relationship, this friendship, and there's a love story there. But also, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, a lot. And their way of life is being threatened. And it's kind of like this huge journey into figuring out not only themselves and who they are and what they want, not only a better way for their society, but also trying to figure out how their society is going to survive into the future, because what they're doing right now is unsustainable. That would be my synopsis.
Dang, that was a great synopsis.
Just I'm trying to cram everything that's my mind's going a million miles a minute, and I'm thinking, because I also I wish I had taken notes. This is one of those reads where I kind of wish I had taken notes when I was reading it, because I had a lot of questions.
Yeah, I wish that I had taken notes, but I read this entire book while I was freezing. when Texas decided that we wanted to go through a freeze and not give me power. So I read this book underneath a blanket fort with a flashlight because so I did not have time to take notes. But I am a Nicky Draden fan now. This is my first Nicky Draden novel. And so I am a fan. This is totally up my alley. It's the idea of having an entire civilization inside of a space beast. It immediately made my imagination soar because I needed the beast to be massive enough to encompass everything that I was reading in the story, because there was so much detail in the writing that it was like I could imagine all of the places that were written in the story, and I can imagine them in their entirety. So like I just imagined like this ginormous beast, and then obviously they gave me validation when they started describing the beast, and I was like, oh my god, it's huge.
It's huge. Also, can we talk about, this is something I had to remind myself, isn't Seska, how old is Seska? Isn't she like 15 years old?
I'm assuming that they're teenagers because
they tell us in the beginning, because in the beginning she gets her period. This is not really a spoiler, but she gets her period, and that is like their signal that she's become a woman, because you have to remember this is a matriarchal society.
Yeah, I actually really like that part where it's like having your period is like a huge celebration.
That was cool.
I do really, really like that part. Like I like it was one of the books where I was reading and I was like, there is a lot happening here.
There's a lot. And she crams quite a bit into 322 pages.
Yeah.
I do feel, okay, so let's start off this review. We gave the background. Let's talk about the things that we liked. Let's start off talking about what we liked, and then we can talk about some of the things that maybe we had issues with, because that's usually how we start.
Yeah, so I liked the building of the story. Like I said, I felt like the description was amazing. And there were still parts where there was a lot of description where I was kind of confused. And I found myself rereading certain sections because I was like, wait, what happened?
And and Brittany and I, we both listened to this via audiobook, which if you have not read this yet, I would highly recommend you come back to this live after you've read this, because we're not going to hold back on the spoilers. It's kind of hard not to give spoilers when you're having a book discussion.
Yeah, so we're talking about all of it.
Unless you don't care about spoilers, I would say just kind of, pin this, make this like a favorite video, and then come back after you read it and watch it with us, watch the playback, because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. So this is a huge, giant spoiler alert. This whole live discussion is going to be chock full of spoilers. It's very hard to deeply dive into this book and discuss all of the intricacies, all of the themes, the tropes, without spoiling. So I just want to give that disclaimer now so people don't get upset.
Yeah. But yes, Ursula is right. I started off listening to it via audiobook, but yeah, again, power situation. So I ended up I read part 2 completely like in the book, and one, like Jerry said, I actually like that she had a period. Like I like that there was so much focus on the fact that she had a period.
Yes.
And it was just like, I'm trying to think of another book that I read where there was so much emphasis on her period, and it wasn't emphasis from
it's not in a negative way.
Yeah, or being like, oh my God, now she's ready to bear children. It's like, yeah, they did mention that, but there was still so much celebration around her having her period. And I was just like, I love this. I love how extra all the women are being about this. Like all the women are treating this like this is like a celebration. Because ironically, when I started my period, as embarrassed as I was, it was a communal celebration. My mom told everybody, all the women at church knew I started my period.
Right. It's like
so,
everyone.
Now that I'm older, I realize how beautiful that really was. But when I was younger, I was horrified. So
mortified. Right. Yeah.
I really, really like that. I like the family dynamic of this book.
Okay.
Like, obviously, I love matriarchal societies. That's just always going to be one of my favorite things to read.
Yes.
But the logic that they use to justify the family dynamic didn't even really make sense, in my opinion.
I felt like it was because they were producing more girls than boys. And then they do give us like a brief history on past matrices or queens. They call them matrices. But they did say this one, the way their society switched from being patriarchal to matriarchal is this one woman essentially staged a coup.
Yeah.
And she took the king at the time to the wall, the ancestry wall, and absorbed him into the wall and killed him essentially. And then that was the switch, and that's how it started. But I also take it to mean that they just produce more girl children than boy children. So the women outnumber the men by a large number.
Yeah. I mean, I really I also love that they had rules.
Mm-hmm.
But like the rules did not. I was like, does anybody
they were never followed.
Follow the rules? Because sisterkin? Like, what?
We will go into sisterkin.
If the queen is like, if Matra is not following the rules, like, why is anybody else going to? Like, are we here? Are we there? Like, what? I'm always down for conflicting sister relationships. That's one of my favorite type tropes. Sister relationships that are not honky donkey dory. Like, I love that they did not like each other. Also, I agree with Njeri. I love that the matriarchy was really screwed up, and it was very clear that they were making all the wrong decisions, because every time they were brought up, it was like, yeah, I mean, she made that decision, but like, look what it's doing to us now.
What a mess.
I was like, y'all really, why would you decide to live in a beast? How did this work?
Well, it's kind of like, and we saw this later on when we kind of saw that the way that they were living in the beast was their choice, and that wasn't the only way. Because the whole time you're reading the book, you're like, are they the only ones left? Are there other humans in other beasts? Like, what is going on? And then it becomes clear that no, their parasitic use of this beast, which obviously they're calling it a beast in order to desensitize themselves from the fact that it's a living creature. But their parasitic way of living inside this beast is their choice, because then we see another way, and another group of people, another civilization have a more of a symbiotic relationship with their beast, and their beast is thriving. They've been in their beast for hundreds of years. We find out that the way their beast is thriving is kind of effed up. But like, I mean, the way they were using their queens in that like drugged out stasis state.
I'm trying to think of the movie, like when we got to that scene and they were talking about how they use their women. There's a movie that gives me that same vibe. I could not think of it for the life of me, but that's the visual that I got of it. I loved how do I put this? I love the sweetness of all of the men involved in this story, if that makes sense.
They were very sweet. They were very maternal.
Yeah.
They had a lot of maternal qualities, which I loved. It was just nice to see men be, or paternal. We can use paternal too. Like, just, it's nice to see men be caregivers.
Yes.
And it was just
they were the ones that went to for comfort. Like, how great was that? Like, they were the ones that like, oh, let me run to the dad of the situation.
And they were the teachers.
Yes. Like, I like the dynamic switch where like everything conventional does not apply in this story. These stereotypes and stuff that we've put on the society, like that doesn't not apply here. Like, everybody really is their own vibe. And they choose how they want to go, and they go with it.
I really liked the strong emphasis on family lines. I think that it was also, it's one of those things where it's a yin and yang. It has a good side and a dark side. But the good side of it was the way they were so proud of their family lines, to the point where they literally wrote their family lines into their hair, and the way that they did their hair, and the way that they dressed their hair, their clothing, just how proud they were of their how proud they were of their lines and their heritage and who they were and where they came from and who came before them. Even though it was really creepy, even like the ancestry wall was really an interesting like take on honoring those that came before you and always being able to commune and reach their spirits for advice or to ask for blessing, to have this like physical, literal physical representation and manifestation of the people who came before you, and being able to see them embalmed in this wall and being able to visit them. Like a part of it is really creepy, but another part of it is really actually cool, because it's like you never really forget where you came from, because everywhere you turn, it's there.
Yeah, and it's uplifted and praised. Like there's a lot of ancestral appreciation in it. I really like that too. And Jerry also brings up another one, because I am purposely saving the romance because we need that. That is a whole section of this book, and we're going in on that because I've got thoughts. But
okay, also, let's just dive off the cliff. Let's just go.
Because I was gonna say, like, I also love that, like, the men had wardrobes. Like, it's like you heard about the women's like wardrobe when it's time to like do the celebration. Mm-hmm. But like whole time hubby had like a whole like wardrobe.
Meat face.
Like, I can't go out without doing my face. I was like, yes.
Well, it was like the men adorned themselves with makeup and glittery, sparkly jewels and everything to make themselves attractive as a mate. It reminds me of like the peacocks.
Yes,
the male peacocks are the ones with the plumage and the beautiful feathers and how they spread them out to attract the women peacocks. And so I loved that. I loved that the men were the ones that, you know, bedazzled and decked themselves out to attract the women. And I loved the part where during the ceremony, of Seska's coming out, I loved that role reversal of her asking them to dance.
Oh yeah,
that was so cool. Of like, may I have this dance? And she bowed at one point, and her male counterpart curtsied, and I was just like, this is amazing.
I was like, this is balance. I appreciate this life. But yeah, since we're here, so I'm not gonna call it a love triangle, because I never found myself rooting for one or the other. Because, you know, love triangles always mean that there's like you actually feel like. It wasn't a love triangle between Seska, Adalah, and I was gonna say Doka, but no, Wyatt.
Doka, Wyatt, and what was her name? I'm trying to find her name and I'm having trouble.
Leslie. Are you talking about Adalah's Bay?
Yeah, she deserved better.
I'm
trying to find her name and I'm having some trouble.
Go to the end of the book is probably more prevalent. Like the scene where they're all about to travel.
Yeah, I'm trying to find her name because this is going to bother me.
Hold on. Yeah, guys. Yeah.
I did not like the romance in this book.
Really? Do you share?
We didn't like. I didn't like the romance, not because I didn't think that it wasn't well written. I actually thought it was really well done and very nuanced. And it made me feel a lot of things. So on that side, in terms of the technicalities, the writing, the emotions it made me feel, I liked the way it was written. What I didn't like about the romance is that I like to root for the people that are in love, and I could not root for this couple because I really, really disliked Seska.
Oh.
And I could not bring myself to like her no matter what. It wasn't necessarily that. Seska is the kind of character where everything she touches, she ruins, which is an interesting obstacle, right? It's an interesting, I guess, setup for a character where everything they attempt may not be an outright failure, but it doesn't necessarily work out in the sense of the expectations that are put upon her by her society, by her mom, things like that nature. So that's like already an interesting setup. But I did not like her selfishness. And you brought up a good point. You were like, well, she's a royal, so she's bred to be this, you know, this person that puts her in her line first and is very self-centered and is always thinking about her class, the Concord class, right? Is that what they're called? Concord?
Yeah, the Concord class, which makes it sound like an airline, but it's cool.
Right. So it's like, I understand why she is the way she is, because she does come from this very royal line where they obviously think they're better than everyone else and all these things. And it makes sense why she is the way she is, but it doesn't, like, I still disliked her intensely. And so many of her decisions, I was just like, why are you making this choice? This is not the right choice. But, you know, that's really my only issue with the romance is I like to root for both of the people in the couple. And I was shipping her more with Wyatt, the accountancy guard. Because I just felt like Adalah deserved better. I was like, Adalah, to me, was my favorite character.
Oh, yeah, hands down.
I felt like Adalah deserved better. And when Adalah was finally able to somewhat move on with her life and find comfort in that deep friendship and relationship she did with that, with the bone. With
her bone worker and then her bone worker.
Yes.
I'm going to find her name while you're talking.
It's really going to bug me. We need to find her name immediately.
I told you it's lazy. I listened to it on the audiobook before today. Laise.
How did they say it in the audiobook?
I keep forgetting because I listened to the audiobook to make sure I got the name pronunciation right. But the name pronunciation on the audiobook could be wrong as well. I
loved that character. She represented so much just like dignity and strength.
She was a perfect balance to Adalah and like everything that Adalah was going through, because Adalah's depression in this book, I mean, we're going to keep jumping topics. Adalah's depression in this book was
so real.
Yeah. I mean,
so real.
Homegirl was lit up on drugs in the heart. Like,
yes,
she was really over it.
She went through it. It was like Seska was not there for Adalah when Adalah really needed her, because Seska was so busy trying to prove herself to her society, prove herself that she was worthy to rule, prove herself to her mom, really. That's what it was at the end of the day. There's a lot of hurt mother-daughter relationships in this book. That was a huge theme of daughters desperately trying to prove themselves to their mothers and feeling like they're coming up short, feeling like they're seen as less than. We had Seska, whose mother literally her mother literally had I don't even know what to call an illegitimate child, which was essentially outlawed in their society. And she was supposed to, this sounds really harsh, but she was supposed to kill that child, and Seska was supposed to be her true child, and she couldn't even do it. And then not only could she not do it, but she also favored that child over Seska so clearly. She didn't even try to hide her favoritism. She didn't even try to hide the fact that she felt like Seska was.
She kept kind of, in a way, it was almost like she was gaslighting Seska. Like when Seska would like try to call it out, it was like, that's not what this is at all. Like, stop being childish. It's like, girl, we all know what this is.
And poor Sisterkin, I felt for her. Yes, Sisterkin is a deplorable character because
actually
of her actions.
She's deplorably wonderful. We should just state that. She's deplorably wonderful.
Oh, yes. But if you think about her life and the fact that she has no name, they literally call her Sisterkin. She had to steal a name, and even then it was taken away from her.
Because it was illegal.
Which is another theme, was the importance of names.
Yes.
The fact that she clearly knew that her mother favored her and loved her best and wished that she was next in line, but that wasn't her reality. So she was better at Seska than all of the traditional things. She was better at learning the histories and the dances and the dressing and the overall presentation of the next in line and the next queen.
Yes.
But she did not have it by right. She did not have it by law. She's basically just like this outside child that they just pretend doesn't exist, but does exist. Like, didn't they at one point even say she couldn't even eat at the table with them? They had to like.
She never did. Her mother built a platform so that she could be near her, because like that's just how invalid they made Sisterkin. But like Sisterkin was like, bet I'm gonna get a name. I'm gonna do this, that, and the third behind the scenes, make y'all think I don't know anything that's going on. Like, again, Sisterkin, like, Adalah is my favorite character in the story because I just felt I wanted to give Adalah a hug so many times. But if I want to talk about execution, it's Sisterkin.
Sisterkin. And what I felt cheated because Sisterkin had like a fade to black moment.
Yeah.
At the end, and we didn't really get that confrontation. Like this whole time I felt like Nicky Draden was building us up for this epic, huge confrontation between Sisterkin and Seska, and we never got it. And that was the one payout that just really left me feeling unsatisfied, because I was like, we needed this. I needed that scene like we have with in the Black Panther movie, that scene like we have,
where it's
Black Panther versus Killmonger. We needed that in this book. I needed to see Sisterkin and Seska, and I'm not talking about necessarily like violence, like I don't want to see them necessarily fight to the death, but I needed to see some type of confrontation. We got like a mini confrontation.
We barely did though. Like at the end, I just knew we were about to have a showdown.
I was ready.
I just knew. I was like, "Oh, they gonna get back to this beast, and they about to just lit it up,
it's like to go down."
Yeah,
like, about to confront Sisterkin for all of her treachery, all of her betrayal, all the stuff. Like the fact that Sisterkin had the balls to take Seska to the ancestry wall while Matriarch, what's her name?
While Matriarch was getting ready to die. Oh, that's so right.
On his deathbed, made sure that the candles were extra potent, so she would be all in a daze, bribed the guards to look the other way, and then like tipped her into the wall and was like, bye.
Right. I was like, again, I understand, like, by taking away Sisterkin's name, it was supposed to create this extra tension, because the one thing that Sisterkin wanted was a lineage.
Yes.
And like, I just like the moment that old girl was ready to kill, like, first of all, I'm sorry, every time I read about the ancestor wall, in my mind, the visual that I have is this gelatinous type wall that kind of like sucks things into it, because it's its way of absorbing things. Yes. Yes. So in my mind, I was like, yo, she was about to have her sister absorbed alive.
Yes.
Alive.
She gave no fucks whatsoever. She was like, look, it's you or me. I want the throne. I'm more fit for the throne. You're barely competent. Sorry. Right. Sorry, not sorry. I was like, wow.
I literally was like, yo, this is a different level of savage. Like, but then at the same time, I couldn't help but clap, because again, we had two opportunities where I thought there was going to be like a real true blue showdown, and oh god, it's that unfortunate ball.
That ball,
the celebration.
That was like Nicky Draden's version of the red wedding.
Oh my god. I think the problem is we loved Adalah's sister as much as Adalah loved her sister.
Oh.
And so
that was so hurtful.
When Adalah learned what was happening, and then I was just like, how is it that everybody else knew?
Everybody else knew.
But Adalah and Seska.
Well, here's the thing. Adalah not knowing. Oh, there's an echo.
I'll mute.
Okay. Adalah not knowing made sense to me, because it seemed like they kept people in the lower classes, they kept them in the dark, even though they were probably more aware of what was actually really going on in their society. But about a lot of things, they were kept in the dark. So that made sense. It made more sense that the closer you are to the throne, the closer you are to the ruling class, you know more about the ugliness that it takes to, you know, keep their society running the way that it does. Basically, keep the class structure the way that it is. Keep the people that are at the top. Keep the people that are at the bottom. What I think was made clear was that Seska was so uninterested up until the beginning of the book. Seska was so uninterested in, you know, learning her queenly duties, learning their histories. There was even that one scene where she was with not her will father. I think it was another one of her fathers, and he was trying to teach her, and she couldn't remember all the lines. So it was given to us over and over and over again that Seska just wasn't interested in the things that she should have been interested in terms of what she needed to know to rule. So it made complete sense to me that she was unaware. I was like, of course you're unaware, girl. You've been unaware this whole time. Like, you didn't know the dances. You didn't know the ancestry lines and names. Of course you didn't know this. You're on mute still.
Adalah didn't know either, though.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it made sense because she's from a lower class.
No, because like the bone workers knew.
That's true.
Because they were like, like that's why that's why we crashed the party, and that's why we stay together, because at some point we do have to leave. Like, they knew.
That's true. They knew.
Adalah did not. And it was just like, dang. So nobody told y'all.
That explains why she had that moment with her mom, because her mom sheltered her from that information.
Yeah, I felt bad for her ama too. Because there was a lot of dysfunctional mother-daughter relationships, yes.
So much.
But I think that the reason that Adalah's ama was so hard was because the life that she'd been living was so hard. So it's like, why do that to your daughter other than treat her how everybody else is going to treat her, essentially?
It rang very true to a lot of the issues that exist within the Black community today, and how there are a lot of contentious relationships between mother and daughter sometimes, and how some of it is because some women have such hard lives just trying to survive.
Yeah.
That they are harsh with their daughters in particular. It's almost like they kind of know what their daughters are in for, and they're trying to toughen them up. And they're also, it's in a weird way, it's like they're trying to protect them.
Yeah.
And it comes off like very harsh, very abrasive. It can be very trauma inducing. And it's like the mothers are looking at it as like, this is a hard world and you're going to be broken. And so I'm preparing you, and I'm going to break you first before they can break you. Because at least I love you, and I'm trying to do the best thing for you. They don't give a shit about you. So I'm going to do what I need to do to prepare you to go out there, because it's not what you think. It's like that place where moms are like, it's not what you think. So it's like that manifests itself in this very toxic dynamic. And I think that was portrayed brilliantly in this book between Adalah and her ama. And the relationship for me between Seska and Matrix was more of a hate to me. I don't think Matrix cared for Seska at all.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't see it.
I mean, it's very clear that like Matrix would have preferred that Adalah or that Seska had been born 4 weeks later, like she was supposed to, and she didn't hide it either.
No, not at all. And I just didn't see the love. Like, they didn't have those tender moments and those like small scenes of where you could kind of see their connection. Like, we didn't get any of that.
Yeah,
we got nothing. So to me, like, even to the point where all the way up until her death, we just never saw Matrix have any type of softness or love towards Seska at all.
Nope.
At all. But let's talk about some of these side characters. We have, I'm going to try to remember people's names today, but we have
Wyatt.
We have Wyatt, the accountancy guard. We have who becomes her husband.
Oh, man. Man.
What was his name? Dio.
It wasn't. I always forget his name because all I think about is like I started referring to him as her husband.
He came from the Doka.
There we go.
Yeah, so we have Wyatt and we had Doka, who were kind of like the two side characters. And then we had the girl's name that starts with the L that I can never remember.
Lazy. Or Lazy. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's Lazy.
I literally just want to go to the audiobook and find out, but it's fine.
Me too.
So we have, those are our side characters. And I loved Wyatt from the beginning, like from the moment when him and Seska had that interaction where you could tell that there was like friction between them when he caught her and Adalah when they were, out and about when they weren't supposed to be. And Seska was still supposed to be in the stasis pods.
Mm-hmm.
And Adalah was not supposed to be in that corner of the beast. And they had that little spat. I was like, I like him. I liked him out the gate.
I did not.
No.
Because in a lot of stories, there's always this one douchebag who like...
You thought he was a douchebag?
In the beginning, he was a douchebag. because
he was doing his job.
Well, yeah, but like at the same time, he was still a douche. Like,
you think? I
well,
felt like
in regards to Sasuke and Adalah, he was a douche. But like I understood why he was. He was just trying to be the best that he could be in a position where as a man, it's already unheard of for him to be there. So like, I understood like why he was trying to stay by the book. Like that part makes total sense. I was just like, Dad, bro, like you can't turn the other eye. Like not only are you like busting their chops and like all up in their business, but you done told her she started her period in the middle of this. Like, sir, like
I see
what happened?
Saying.
Like
for me, I was kind of like, I guess for me, it was like, okay, this guy is a lot, but his moments were like, you know, when he lied to Matrix and didn't give up that Adalah was there, right? Lied badly.
Yes.
And she saved him and he saved her back. And just those little moments that let me know that he actually was a really decent character. But you're right, he that was not necessary.
Like he didn't actually start growing on me until the scene where Adalah ran away because she was overwhelmed, and he comes over to like tell her like, you know, or like they're dancing and he's giving her the play-by-play of all her potential mates.
Yes.
He didn't start growing on me until then because, like I said, everything else was just weird. When he lied poorly about Adalah, I was like, why you do that?
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, I didn't start being like, oh, I like him until too late.
I know. Can we talk about how hard I cringed when Seska went to that coming out party and literally ruined everything? Well, Sisterkin triggered her, the F out of her, by bringing Adalah
again out. Sisterkin is like, masterfully awful.
Was playing no games.
Sisterkin had backup plan after backup plan after backup plan, all the ways that she was gonna mess her sister up. Like,
she was like, I'm gonna bring the girl that you love to the coming out party where you have to get engaged to someone else.
Like, and I'm gonna. It's like, dang, like you don't understand the brilliance of that until everything gets blown up. And it's like,
Sisterkin knows how to push Seska's buttons because Sisterkin knows that Seska cannot hold it together. She has no poker face and she doesn't know how to control her emotions.
Yeah.
So I feel like Sisterkin takes advantage of that fault of Seska's every single time. She's like, I know my sister cannot control herself. She doesn't know how to control her emotions. She's easily triggered and she's easily just like, it's easy to set her off. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to invite Adalah and watch everything.
I mean, I just imagine her like sitting down in a chair with like a little pastry and some juice and just being like, let's see what this does.
Right.
And like when they finally kissed, I'm sure that she almost toasted herself.
And the audacity of her just like walking Adalah up to her while she was dancing with
Doka
and just being like, I just thought your friend should be here for this moment.
Right. Doka looking like, oh, I get it. I'm gonna like I'm gonna go away. And then he just casually walks away. And I was like, Sisterkin is probably sitting over on the sidelines like, everything is working out how I planned.
Right. And Matrix probably wasn't mad about it. Matrix was mad about being embarrassed in front of everybody.
Yeah. Because it was like, God dang it, why is she here? And it's like, you don't even know. Sisterkin said, you won't do it, I'll handle it. So I can finally get where I deserve.
Can we also talk about how many of Seska's and Adalah's like tender romantic moments happened in the worst times? Like, how are you gonna almost give her the first kiss for y'all as a couple is literally during her coming out ball where she's supposed to get engaged to somebody else?
Dang.
Why did you think that was the time?
Not only is that the first, like, not like that kiss was like a powerful, supposed to be a beautiful moment. And they stopped kissing to turn around and see everybody in uproar.
Yes.
That they did. It's like, they didn't even have a time to like really like experience their feelings for each other because it was like, we're literally about to have a war in here because y'all decided to have your feelings now. Like that
was every time though. Like I remember there was that one scene where weren't they in like the sphincter of the beast or something.
Oh yeah, they were
somewhere they weren't supposed to be, that was smelly and gross and disgusting.
But listen, sometimes when you know you can't be together, I guess you got to get it how you live it.
I remember just reading it like, really, this is when you're going to make your move, Seska? This is not the time.
I was just like, dang, like you could have like, I don't know. I felt like there was a level of selfishness for Seska in this regard because obviously Adalah did not want to be there.
No.
So like, obviously Adalah knows what's happening. Adalah does not want it to happen because Adalah loves you, you idiot.
Yep.
But like, to even put Adalah in that situation where Adalah was the one that was like, just go pick your mate. To have Adalah be the one that makes the decision
heartbreaking.
For Seska, like, I'm like, dang, your crazy psycho brilliant sister forced her here.
Mm-hmm.
You were gonna make her watch you choose to be with someone else after all this time.
Cold. That is cold. The fact that she literally, that part where she ran to relight the candle.
Oh yeah, because the candle had the smoke of the candle had not already gone out, because that was after Seska was like, or that was after Adalah was like, go, you still have time. Because Adalah loved her that much that she knew how important Seska's position was to Seska. And I was like, this chick loves you, you idiot.
Like, Adalah really loves Seska unconditionally, which was hard for me as someone that just could not stand Seska and just felt like Adalah deserved better and deserved more.
Yeah.
That scene where, I'm trying to remember, I feel like there was another scene. It's going to come back to me, but when she finally was able to let go somewhat and found Lacey, I'm just going to call her Lacey. That to me, like, I was rooting for Adalah and Lacey.
Oh, listen, that first time that, you know, she like was curious, I was like, oh, she's about to get laid right. Okay.
But can we talk about that scene when Lacey and Adalah met in that bar? I was scared.
Oh, where she thought she was about to get jumped because she was an organ worker originally?
Yes. And she had to lie and say, oh, I came from, like, she had to lie and say she came from another part of the body and not the heart.
Yeah, I think she said like ligaments or something.
Yeah, she's like that was so scary. And then, so it was like Lacey and her crew came off real rough at first, like real scary in the sense that they were very intimidating and they were almost like bullying her, kind of.
Yeah, but it was more like
initiation,
which I kind of loved, actually. I loved the freedom of the bone workers. Like, they out here just boobs out. Like, imagine never having to wear a bra.
Amazing.
That part right there, I was like, I'm sold. The way that they tattoo their memories onto their bodies.
That I loved.
I loved them.
That first night when Adalah literally had to pretend to be asleep to escape assault. Okay, that
part was a little like, whoa. You're just taking it? Like, wait a minute.
Oh, no. That's just not right. And then when Lacey came in and like held her down, like, I literally felt like myself, you know, that when you're listening to an audiobook and you literally feel your heart just, it was
stop. Like, yeah, I definitely took a deep inhale because I was genuinely like, wait. No, I don't want to read about that. I don't want to read about that.
I was so scared. I was like, no.
It was something like, it was the casualness that they were like, oh, like, if somebody does come in your room, just pretend you're snoring. What? Wait. That
shook me to my core, especially when she was just like, you know, Adalah, she's just like, and then I snored and the person still didn't move. And then I moved and then I shook. And I'm just like I was literally listening to that part with bated breath. I felt sick to my stomach. I literally was like, I stopped. I remember I paused it for a moment.
Oh, and I definitely paused it because I was like, if this is a rape scene,
yes,
I'm done with this book because there's no reason for this. Like, I was just like, no. The way that it built up, like, you genuinely thought that you were about to witness poor Adalah in her full depressed stage to also gonna have to go experience rape. And I was like, if
It was terrible.
Like, it was one of those things where I was like, no.
I was literally shaking. And then thank God that's not what it was.
But even what it was still not okay.
I completely agree. Like that part for me really took me aback because it's like, you're drunk, you come in here, hold this woman down, or a young girl really, and then you just start tattooing her. What?
Yeah, it's like, okay, it's not rape, but like, ain't nobody drunk tatting me.
And she was scared. Adalah
yes, she was scared. That was my thing. I was just like, so like, are we gonna just graze over the fact that this woman overpowered her to mark her on her body
with the knife?
She said no, like Adalah gave in because she felt like she had no choice.
Yeah,
like, that was not I'm gonna do this because I want to. That was, I have no choice but to lay here. What?
I had mixed feelings because in the morning she was all like, she looked and she saw that the tattoo was what is that creature that she had in her old ship?
In my mind, I call him Meat Meat. Don't ask me why I call him Meat Meat, because I don't think that's his
like from the Muppets?
Yes. I have no idea why. Like in my brain, I imagine it to be Meat Meat. I have no idea why or when that came into my head, but that's really what I imagine, Meat Meat.
Oh my God. It's one of the heart murmurs, right?
Yeah, it was like
these little heart murmur creature things. Well, they call them heart murmurs, but they're these little creatures that latch on to like the arteries and they have to cauterize and cut out of the heart. We will get to the technical aspects of this book in a second. But the fact that she woke up the next day, saw that, you know, she had tattooed, because, you know, the bone workers tattooed their memories and the things that they loved into their skin, and saw that Lacey, sorry, y'all, tattooed her pet that she lost, this heart murmur creature that she lost on the last ship that she had to leave behind, tattooed it on her skin. And then all of a sudden she was like, oh, thank you so much. I was like,
Yeah, I was like, somebody gotta get clocked in the face, or like, I'm gonna give you a mark too. Come here. Like, I didn't like how it was supposed to be painted like it was something beautiful. It was like that entire scene was traumatic.
I was terrified. Also, speaking of scenes where people needed to be hit in the face, the whole wedding night scene.
Oh my God. Listen. Okay.
I don't know who I felt worse for. I don't know if I felt worse for what's his name, Doga, or for Wyatt. I did not feel bad.
Obviously, it was Doka. The victim of that situation was Doka. Like, no, everybody else popped in the face. I
feel like Seska constantly took advantage of the fact that people had feelings for her, like romantic feelings for her, and she used that to get her way. Because when she approached Wyatt with her plan, and Wyatt's like, yo, that's my boy, like that's my friend, like he came to me nervous about this night, like I gave him advice, like this is wrong. And then she's like, well, if you had to choose between me or him. I was like, okay, girl, the fact that you even posed it that way, so wrong,
manipulative, so
just like, if you had to choose between us. And then of course Wyatt, you know, Wyatt the entire story is suppressing his feelings for Seska.
Yes,
I think we can all,
which is just
we can all come to that conclusion. But the fact that he was like, you know, obviously I would choose you, and she knew how he felt about her, because wasn't this after they went into the womb?
Yes, this was after the weird bonding session, which we will talk about in a second, because that was the
he already knew how he felt about her, and to use that, I just
okay, this is my thing. It's like,
shook.
This man, like this boy Doka, like obviously he actually likes you. He's been talking about it. His buddy tells you he's even nervous about the night. He's even nervous. But for some reason, you didn't think to even talk to Doka about it. Like,
you didn't have a conversation with this.
You just decided, I don't actually want to do you.
I'm not here with that. Like, I don't feel that.
There was no conversation about it whatsoever. It was just, I'm going to take advantage of him, completely embarrass him, and like, he'll never know, and you're going to help me do it because you're my friend more than his. What?
And it was a violation. Like, the fact that you would make sure that someone was drunk and set them up to have sexual relations with a jelly doll.
I mean, basically, it was like, I'm going to call it a space jelly sex doll because
I was disgusted. I was literally disgusted. That was, for me, that was the moment when all hope I held out for liking Seska at any point left.
You weren't the only one. It was one of those things where I was like, and this is why Sister Ken should have won.
That's why I just wanted that one scene where they just like fought. I was like, maybe Sister Ken would just whipped her butt and then that would have been it.
Plot twist, you know? So.
But the fact that she thought that this was really okay, and then how stupid can you be to do that? And then you and Wyatt have this moment where you almost kiss in the same room as the
on your wedding night. On your wedding night. Why are y'all naked together on your wedding night on the floor when you just had your husband like think he was porky? Like what? Seska needed like on site. Seska should have popped in the face on site. What?
And the fact that Wyatt didn't immediately leave after the deed was done and he just stayed there and held her and they just fell asleep together. How good of an accountancy guard are you in that moment?
How good are you? Anything like, just.
And then for Doka to wake up the next day and find them like, I was
like, the victim of this story is Doka.
The victim. And you know what? That was another thing. Like, she used Doka as well. Like, the only reason she chose him was because he was so knowledgeable and he was tutoring her in a way. Remember, there was that whole scene where she was like, oh, the way he teaches me, I can actually understand it. Unlike her father, one of her fathers. And so that was one of the major reasons. And also because his moms were in the Senate.
Yep.
It was another major reason. And then they worked well together. Like, they had a very good working relationship. So basically, you try to make your work husband your real husband.
Everything about Seska was exhausting, and not in like a way of like, you can see her growing into leadership. It was just, everything about her was exhausting. She was very selfish. And we're segueing, even how she found Baby Beast.
Oh my God.
And like the way she kept Baby Beast private.
Mm-hmm.
And like basically forced Wyatt to have to experience the Baby Beast without giving him any type of warning, even though she had already experienced how touchy-feely Baby Beast is.
Baby Beast was straight up violating people in that womb.
Man, Baby Beast was a baby for real. Because you know how like babies like don't understand boundaries. So you could pick up a baby and they'll be eating a Cheeto and then they'll like pass that same Cheeto from their mouth to yours with no problem. That's basically how I imagine Baby Beast to be. And therefore it was just like, oh wow. But like Seska really is like it's like she tried to really consider herself to be better than Sister Ken, but at least Sister Ken was like, well, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you. There was no reward for people if they helped Seska. They were more than likely going to end up in a worse situation. Oh, yeah. Actually, all of them ended up in a worse situation than where they were before they met Seska. Except Doka.
Ruined lives.
Yes.
Straight up, which is why I wanted to find out her age so much, because she read very young to me, like 13, 14. And I thought about her age many, many times, especially that one scene where she manages to finagle a meeting with all of the leaders of the other human civilizations that are left living in the beasts. Yeah. And the white man, surprise, surprise, looked at her and called her a little darkling child.
Woo! Yeah. The little darkling part, I was like, wait a minute.
He was like, you are the leader, little darkling child.
Yes, that's how I heard his voice too. I heard his voice like that too. It was like, are you the person I'm supposed to be talking to? I'm not going to talk to you, little darkling. That's how I heard his voice in my head. Like,
thank you.
I was like, oh, sir.
Sir. No, sir. But so that moment kind of jolted me a bit, and I was like, how old is Seska? Because if she is 13, 14, 15, maybe even 16 at the most, that explains everything.
I assume most people start their periods around that time frame. So that's why I just made an assumption about her age, because they remember they're talking about how the last the last time that they were on a beast, or before she went to sleep, like they were kids.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's a woman, and I'm like, we kind of start going through those kind of things around preteen or like early teenage years, so 13, 14, 15.
Yeah,
assumed.
I think just because the way their society was and the fact that life was so tenuous, like literally people could just die from being in the wrong place at the wrong time during a heartbeat of a beast.
Which is
so I think because of the way life was so fragile and tenuous, they started off everyone super young. Because, you know, if let's say at the least, Seska is like what, 13 at the least. Then she's getting betrothed. She's, you know, being groomed to run an entire civilization. Like, it's a lot to put on the shoulders of someone who's basically a child.
But see, remember, they also assumed that like she would be grooming for a lot longer, because they just knew that Mater was going to be alive for her training. Like they said that her training was really like going to start because she's a woman, but she wasn't going to need to actually take the mantle for a very long time. Like that's what everybody thought.
That's true. And then Matrix died.
Yeah.
Which I did not see coming. The second she got that sickness though, where she was coughing into those blooded cloths, now that we know what the beast is capable of, which we then learned the actual proper name for the beasts. We learned the name of their species, which is like, it starts with a Z.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, I forgot to write that down. But
because when Seska goes to deposit the egg,
which, wow.
We will talk about that. Seska goes to deposit the egg. She calls out their name, and it started with a Z, and I can't remember it right now. But that was one of the things I wanted to talk about. But we'll go back to that in a second. But now that I know what the beast is capable of,
you think
the beast killed Matrix? Because we saw that we saw through Baby Beast how intelligent the beasts actually are as a civilization. We see that they've been alive for centuries. We see that they have all this knowledge. We see that they're these incredibly intelligent, sentient beings that literally feel and see and, like, I can't even imagine the trauma and the torture that they've been going through ever since the humans decided to start culling them and living in them. And for me, I hated Seska so much, and I hated so much of what was going on. Like I've never had such visceral reactions to listening to a book because of all of the fluids and the digging.
Oh, we're on the beast technical stuff. Yeah, you did say you were feeling really really squeamish about it.
And you know why? Because the whole time, even before their dumbasses realized this, I was rooting for the beast. And it was really breaking my heart that they were living in this beast and literally killing it and destroying it and digging holes and doing this and burning through this. And I felt so enraged for the first half of reading this book. I think the Zenzi, thank you. I think I stopped feeling enraged after, I think the part where I stopped feeling enraged was when Adalah became a bone worker and was demoted and went to live with the bone workers, and all that stuff started happening. And Matrix died. My rage subsided a little bit after that, because after Seska had her revelation and realization that these beasts are not just beasts and what they were doing was wrong, I started to calm down a little bit. But the very first half of me reading this book, Brittany, I felt so much rage. I was just so angry. I was just like, why are they doing this? This is wrong. This is wrong. Why?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just felt sick to my stomach, like how they would describe, and there was a lot of descriptions, like what the heart workers did and how they were digging out the murmurs, and then like the fluid. What were they calling that fluid? It starts
iron core.
Ichor.
I really like that. The part that's grossing you out, that's the part I really liked. I loved the detail because, like I said, the whole idea of the Zenzi, the whole idea of living in the Zenzi was already like a marvel. But then like the way that they were like, oh, if you nick the wrong thing, we could all die. And I'm just like, but y'all are living in a being. and y'all are cutting stuff out of the being.
You're literally cutting stuff out of the beast to make your life easier. Because remember when they would describe, oh, her dress was made from beast this, and from this part of the beast, and her cloth was the finest of beast silk, and her garment was the finest of beast moth, and it just continued to enrage me even further, because I was just like,
well, you remember they used to harvest the beast before they decided to start living in it. So like they had a terrible relationship with the beast like this whole time.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh. Yes, and Jerry, we're going to talk about that because that was a character that we felt was such a wasted character. But yes, I loved that we got to feel the hatred of the beast towards the people.
Oh, that was where I was thriving, my friend.
I was like, oh, so the whole time the beast out here lying?
The beast was setting them up, okay? The beast was like, oh yeah, let me show you this amazing.
Like once they killed baby beast, she was like, we all gonna die.
Yeah, the fact that they even thought it was okay to kill the baby, something in me just died in that moment. Something in my soul just shriveled up and died.
My cold self had to just put the book down for a second because
I literally cried.
I felt like we were connecting with the baby beast. So it was like,
what? I think I texted you.
Yeah, you did. Because I remember how
I'm getting upset now just talking about it.
I read it. Obviously, I read it before you guys. So I was texting you guys like, you need to read the book. I need to talk about this with someone.
I was so distraught. I just couldn't believe. Well, Matrix was pure evil. So I could believe that Matrix did that. But I just couldn't believe that through Matrix setting down, the orders, through everything, through all the avenues that those orders had to go through, to the people that actually killed the baby beast, nobody was like, this is fucked up. Nobody.
Because all they saw was this being is taking away resources that we need. That's literally all they saw. They didn't see the beast as a being because that's what they call
the baby beast is the person that actually.
We're gonna call him Baby Zenzi now because I want to give him a name.
Thank you. Baby Zenzi was the only living creature that actually belonged where it was.
Yes.
It literally came, pillaged,
and colonized Zenzis.
They are colonizers.
They colonized the Zenzis and then acted like the Zenzis owed them something.
I am so upset. They were colonizers.
Yeah.
And the part that upset me too is they actually were not like the pale face. They didn't call them white. They just called them pale face. The pale face civilization, where they actually learned how to live in a symbiotic relationship with their beast.
Yes.
Their Zenzi, and it seemed like they saw their Zenzi as a living, breathing thing, because they literally sacrificed their women in that stasis state to live in harmony with their Zenzi, which clearly they understood that this is a living thing and we want to be able to live in it and we don't want to harm it. So we're going to figure out a way to live in harmony. The fact that they didn't even trigger their Zenzi to have fevers all the time so that it would be warm for them. Can we talk?
It's so much. It was just like, yo, it's like, I will give Nicky Draden so much credit. Like, I knew so much about the way that they worked the Zenzi to survive that it was crazy how much I knew. And it's like only a 300-something page book, but yet like I still got a whole other story on top of it where it was like, so why do I know so much about the Zenzi? And like, I'm mad. Of course the Zenzi is mad. I'm heated that they're doing this. Like, oh, it's called, well, we have to get the center set up. What center? Like, what?
And the Zenzi put it up with it for so long because it was clearly they were killing it. And then it wasn't until they killed baby Zenzi that mama Zenzi was like, oh, fuck all y'all. Y'all all dying.
Yeah. So it was just like, and this is also a good point. It didn't make sense for the political side either. Like if the beast was dying, would they kill the baby that could be their next home? And remember how they kept talking about how like there's less and less beast to pick from, and like they actually killed a whole other civilization so that they could get their hands on this beast. And like
they blew up a whole ship.
Yeah, a whole ship of people. That's supposed to be a whole other civilization.
They eradicated them from the history. The interesting thing to me is that is an excellent point, but it points to the fact that the entire story, they kept saying how Matrix was a bad leader and how she made really bad decisions.
Yes.
And Seska kind of used that as her justification for herself being inept as well. She'd be like, well, I'm not as bad as Matrix, you know, when she's out here killing babies and
like she picked the wrong beast. This beast can't handle it. Well, this beast was pregnant and y'all came up in here and wasn't supposed to be here.
Yeah, right.
And that's why this beast is tired.
Exactly.
Pregnant.
And that was alluded to a lot, was the fact that Matrix made really bad decisions during her reign, and she would just try to cover it up by having like a ball and a feast and trying to distract the people from the fact that she was making really, really poor choices. And of course, Seska used that as her reasoning for also making poor choices, because she was like, well, my choices are not as bad as, you know, Matrix's. Like, I'm at least going to try to not kill the beasts or the Zenzis in the future. Like, I'm going to evolve our people. And I'm just like, girl, you make bad decisions too. Poor choices all around.
Poor. So this brings us to the final scenes, right? So let's break down the final scenes. For anybody who doesn't want to hear this, obviously we're about to deep dive into some major spoiler moments. I don't understand why Wyatt died.
I do.
Please enlighten me, because I was like, why?
Wyatt died because so from what I took it, baby Zenzi bonded with Seska.
Yes.
And I think because baby Zenzi bonded with Seska, and that was Seska's turning point, and Seska then changed her entire mission to be, we have to work with the Zenzis, we have to save the Zenzis, we have to not do this, we have to change. We have to remember the mom Zenzi is incredibly intelligent.
Yes.
Right? So I think because baby Zenzi bonded with Seska was safe. You notice Adalah was the one getting the hallucinations and the crazy, and her sister's ghost was following her around, and like Adalah
was also doing drugs.
Well, yeah, but it's really clear that Mama Zenzi was literally psychologically torturing Adalah. Like, we kind of got that towards the end. Seska didn't have to do any of that. So Seska was always going to be safe. The second that Seska brought Wyatt down there, I think that Mama Zenzi saw she could kill two birds with one stone. A, she could figure out a way to produce that other egg by, you know.
I don't even know what to call that, but
what basically happened was I don't think she went back in time, but she went into this place where she was back with her mate.
Yes.
You know, her mate was dead. And the spirit of her mate was in Wyatt, and her spirit was in Seska, and they were able to create that egg, that new baby. It was weird. But anyway,
that was there were some weird trippy scenes for me.
It was very spiritual and very just like, whoa.
Yeah, like there was like a spiritual element, but then on the other side, it was like, so wait, what just happened? Did they just spiritually?
They just like,
oh, y'all spiritually connected, like
yeah.
Okay.
So I felt like Mama Zenzi was like, all right, I'm gonna kill two birds with one stone. I'm gonna use him so that I can get this new egg out there, new baby. And then I'm going to take him like y'all took my mate. Y'all took my mate and y'all colonized him and culled him and killed him the way y'all have been killing all of my other people. And all I had left was this baby, and you killed the baby. You killed my baby as well. So I will take him.
Yeah, I can see that. It's just like, oh, God.
He didn't deserve it, okay? He didn't deserve it. And if she had gone down there with any other male, then they would have died.
Yeah, there was no winning for anybody involved with Seska, because being with Seska is terrible.
I mean, can we talk about the fact that she put the lace on Adalah's back?
Okay, well, see, that's the only scene where I gave Seska grace, because Seska didn't want Adalah to die.
It's like being between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, so it's like she's alive. She's going to be in pain for a hot little minute, but she's alive. Whereas Matrix was like, this is the perfect time to just go ahead and kill her. And it was like, I'm not going to kill her, but I'm going to make it seem like I'm real. Like, I'm going to make it seem like I'm doing this because like this, but I'm actually doing this to save her life. Which is why I also love Lacey in the scene.
Yeah.
When she was like looking at her like, I will kill you if I get the chance, like on sight, I will kill you. And I was like,
she was like, I will take you out.
I was like, Nube looking at you like you've been replaced.
You've been replaced. Those scenes made me so happy. Before we talk about the final scenes, I kind of wanted to go back and talk about the ball and the bucket wraiths.
Which ball? Like her coming out ball or the wraiths ball?
The wraiths ball.
Oh, okay.
The bucket wraiths in general, the embryos.
Man,
and
there was so much terrible stuff going
Adalah's sister.
Okay, so
because we did not touch on that.
We didn't, and I was kind of okay with not touching on it because that the idea of like paying these people to give up their embryos and sperm and stuff,
their eggs,
then it turns out that like there's a possibility you could be working with your child and you can't actually engage with your child. It's like, and then you know what happened, like she knew what was going to happen to her child. Like,
that's why the silence part finally made sense, because at first the fact that the bucket wraiths never spoke, and then when Adalah realized that this one particular bucket wraith was her sister because they looked, identical. Yeah. And then she started a secret relationship with her and was meeting up with her.
And started giving her a creepy voice, which was super weird.
That was weird. And the whole time she didn't speak. She didn't speak until literally the end of their relationship.
Yeah.
Is when she finally started talking. And it makes sense because this society, they're doing this and they know it's wrong. And so they literally train these bucket wraiths. They make them feel as if they're just machines. They're like, well, you don't have a family. You were made in these cells, in these incubation cells. You're not real people. You're going to work and this is what you're going to do. And you're not allowed to talk, because if they talk, they become real. And if they talk, you have to acknowledge them, right? And you have to give them names. Again, the importance of names and not having a name versus having a name. And so that's why they forced them to be silent. They literally took away their voice so that they could make themselves feel better about what they were doing to them.
Yeah.
Disgusting. This society was so messed up.
Yeah, on so many levels. They
made so many poor choices. I was like, why are y'all doing that?
Like,
why? But anyways, so I guess I wanted to talk about the fact, how that led to Adalah's madness.
Again, Adalah was already mentally declining anyway. Like she had already been going through these mental issues and just like she was already going through so much. And then when they broke it to her what was going to happen, like, I mean, because we learned what happens to the wraiths at the time that Adalah learns what happens to the wraiths.
And Seska, they all three learned.
Well, yeah, but like we learned that they were gonna die, right? Like we learned that this is like their goodbye because like they're not needed anymore. We learned it first through Adalah. So like my reaction was like, so they're just gonna kill all these people?
That was crazy.
What?
I was shocked. And the way they did it was so cold.
Cold is not even the word. Like, then, we see it through Seska's eyes where they just basically their molecules start breaking down and they go back into the quote unquote earth of the beast. And they manifest in the agriculture section where sometimes they're not even fully decomposed. So their teeth and stuff might be in the flowers. That's traumatizing.
Like the fact that
Adalah is going through a lot.
Adalah like opened that fruit and saw the teeth.
Man.
I don't even know how I felt in that moment. I would have lost my mind too.
I remember taking a break at one point, like during the whole Rafe situation, because I was like, this is dark.
It was very dark. The fact that they literally did not care about, they didn't care about them to the point where they had no burial. They came into the world with no names and no family, and they left the world with no names and no family. And they saw them as tools, almost like animals in a weird way, which isn't surprising because look how they treated the Zenzis. But they saw them as less than human, which was really disturbing, really, really disturbing, because I don't know how you could know that you gave up one of your eggs and it's probably a person out there and you're okay with it just working and working for its entire life and then just dropping dead one day. And then being decomposed and maybe it'll be in your tomato. Like, what?
Yeah.
I can't. It's just that part. And the beast being so clever, using all of Adalah's trauma to psychologically haunt. Like when her sister started haunting her, I remember there was a moment where I was like, wait, is this really happening? Is this all in her mind?
Oh yeah, because remember in the book, Adalah talked about spirits and stuff in the beginning of the book. And I was like, how crazy is it that now there's a spirit, like what she thinks is a spirit? And it's like, yo, this beast is amazing. This Zenzi is amazing.
And how Adalah just took it in stride. She was like, oh yeah, my sister's ghost is like with me now. Cool. And I was like, wait, girl, this is not good. This is not normal.
Again,
she was like, I looked over her shoulder and I saw, I can't remember what she called her, Prue, something with a P. It was their father's name that she gave her.
Yeah.
But she's like, I saw Pruchin, behind her. And I'm like, no, this ain't good. All right. So my whole time I was like, wait, is Adalah actually losing her mind and having like psychosis? Or is this ghost thing really happening? Like, is her sister's ghost really here for real? I had that moment. And then when it all came together towards the end, when Adalah is in a position to kill them all.
Yeah.
By nicking that heart artery.
Because the spirit told her to.
Because the spirit of her sister was like,
listen, that Zenzi was done. That Zenzi was all gonna die.
And then all of a sudden, all the ancestors came from the wall and were like, yeah, F this. Ooh, the comment.
Oh, that's so true. The little bit where Draden showed how Adalah was so close to being able to actually find her sister at the ball, but then we see Seska was partially the reason why they weren't able to get away.
That's true, because she stopped the sister because she thought it was Adalah.
Yes, but it was Seska. And then she was like, oh my God, man.
I'm telling you, Seska ruins lives. Ruins lives. We need that on a shirt.
The real villain of this story is Seska.
But anywho's, yeah, I think that was part of why Adalah's heart broke so hard, is because she was frantically and desperately trying to find her sister. She was lifting up masks. Yeah, and remember, from Seska's perspective, they dragged her out of the ball, like the guard.
Yes, they dragged her out, and she was whipped and stuff. Like, oh man,
the trauma that I just experienced, and I'm now realizing I experienced.
Seska is the enemy. Seska is the freaking enemy.
Seska ruins lives. But anyway, so when that scene where then the ancestral mothers come back and start saying, kill us all. And then her Amma comes and she's like, yo, hold up, Amma? And she's like, yeah, I'm dead. And I was like, no, I can't do this.
Okay, so obviously at this point in the book, I had reached a delirium of freezing cold. So I wasn't sure when I laughed if I should be laughing at this part, because like the way that like the way that the Zenzi had like faked her Amma's death, and then like what her Amma was saying to her, I was like, yo, Amma, you died and just didn't even want to care no more. Like, this don't even feel like Amma. Like, what's happening?
It just goes to show how incredibly intelligent the Zenzi is, because that means the Zenzi knows everyone.
Yeah.
And knows all their thoughts and all their secrets. And they should be very afraid.
Yeah. That part was fantastic. I was like, yo, the Zenzi been plotting this whole time. Shout out to the Zenzi. Ooh, I don't know who plotted better, Sister Ken or the Zenzi. Honestly, I don't know who plotted better sometimes, because.
Right. Okay, so now we can go on. Now that we've discussed that, we can go on to, okay, so Wyatt is gone. The scene where
lazy
dies.
I hated that scene.
Gut-wrenching. I was done. That's when I was like, I'm fucking done with this story. Like,
honestly, the way that they made her character, and in the words of Jerry, like a throwaway lesbian, like that's basically the character. It was just like, because she was there to give comfort and love to Adalah, and then she sacrificed herself.
And the message
that Adalah loved her more. Like, what?
Left on Seska's skin when she sacrificed herself made me.
I was infuriated. I was like, no. I was like you just beat Seska's behind in the other bees because you thought she was coming for Adalah. Like, no, leave. Seska could have died and this story would have still progressed. Like, we'd have been fine.
We would have been okay. I would have been fine with her death. The fact that Seska, I'm telling you, Seska ruins lives.
Seska is the villain. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Seska is the villain of this story.
The fact that she went back for those embryos, and that is the reason why she lost her last bit of air. And that is the reason why Lazy had to go save her ass. I was like, all of this is wrong. Let the embryos go. Let them go.
Also, I'm not trying to be funny, but like, she could have just grabbed the embryos and left Seska out there. Because Adalah wanted the embryos. So that's why Seska went out there to get the embryos, because Adalah wanted them. And I'm like, but you could have had both. Why they just throw you away like that? Like, this is garbage.
Again, the characters that had unconditional love deserved better.
Yes.
Like, clearly, Lazy had unconditional love for Adalah to the point where she was willing to sacrifice herself.
Even though she knew that Adalah wouldn't pick her in the end. What? I'm not dying for you. You weren't even gonna pick me? I'm not dying for you. I'm not dying for you.
She didn't even die for Adalah. She died for Seska, because she was like, I love this person so much that I know they wouldn't pick me. They would pick this person. So I'm going to save this person for it. I can't. It's so upsetting.
I just felt like it was such a wasted character because I liked Lazy. I liked Lacy so much as a character.
I love
they were so she was so sure of herself and just created this foundation that Adalah really needed.
She gave Adalah a home.
She gave Adalah a purpose. It's like, without Lacy, what would have Adalah done on her own but be strung out?
But be strung out, girl. The accuracy. But the fact that Seska, I don't know. Maybe this is wrong of me, but I don't feel like Seska had any remorse at the end. Like, she was just kind of like, oh, Lazy.
We'll give her a burial.
Well, I promise you I'll go out there and get her body and take it to the wall. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. She shouldn't have died for you.
Like, the wall? You go to the wall. Shoot.
Right? Like, and the fact that she was like, way it's gone. It's so sad. I was like, okay, I'm not feeling the true remorse here. I'm not feeling it. Can we discuss the surprise pregnancy?
Listen, so obviously Doka decided that, like, oh, bet her mama dead, so that makes me like king. Okay, so I'm not gonna annul the marriage because this actually benefits me. Cool. And then Seska manipulating him again, lying to him, saying that she thinks that they should start their lineage when she gets back.
He's such a manipulator.
All blown lies. Gets him all excited because obviously this is what he wants to do, the manipulating heifer. Then she really is pregnant. It's a beast baby.
And it's weird though, because it's like,
it's Wyatt's beast baby.
It's Wyatt's beast baby. It's like the baby that Wyatt sacrificed himself, even though he didn't know he was sacrificing himself.
Yeah, it's like, what? And
I couldn't figure out if it was the baby, if it was an egg, or if it was an embryo. I think it was more of an embryo, or was it like a actual fetus? It was a fetus.
It was a fetus, I think, because she had to deliver it, and there were like tentacles and things because the actual Zenzi's had like tentacles and stuff. Again,
that scene made me laugh out loud where they're like making out.
Oh yeah.
Well, Adalah and Seska are making, like, they finally get their moment. Like, they're, together.
Because everybody else that loved them died already. But like, am I lying? Because shoot, Wyatt and Lazy did not deserve what happened to them.
They did not deserve it at all.
Adalah and Seska.
So then they're like in this little tucked away corner, which made me think, is that the same corner she used to take her sister to? But anyway,
oh my God.
I thought that when I was reading. I was like, is this the same hideaway? But anyway, so they're in there and, they're making out. I laughed out loud when Adalah was like, you're wet down there. And Seska was like, I'm supposed to be, right? And Adalah's like, there's a tentacle on my leg. I had to pause the audiobook for a second.
Like, this is a very random, very comedic scene for everything that's been so, like, everything up until this point has been so serious. And then, like, we get to this scene and she's got, like, she's, like, so turned on that her tentacle, like, her Zenzi baby was like, you're too close. Chill out. I'm here. I don't want to be a part of this.
And then she took it so in stride because Adalah is literally losing her shit. And she's just like, I know what I have to do.
It's like, oh, do you? Could have figured that out before I tried. Okay.
Right. This is the one time that you know what you have to do. Okay.
Oh, also, the reason that they got to this makeout session is because Seska gave up her position. She put Doka in charge.
She did. Okay, I was trying to figure out if I somehow missed this part because the only thing I remember is when they get back. So they trigger Exodus.
Yes, a fake Exodus.
A fake Exodus, although the people don't know that. But they trigger it so that they can leave their Zenzi using the little golden fluid or whatever. You leave their Zenzi to go to the Zenzi that their Zenzi wants them to impregnate with this fetus. Yes. And this is the part where I was like, did I miss something? Did I fall asleep? Because when they get back from their mission and Seska confesses to Doka that it was all like fake and why, and Doka's always like, and all of a sudden was like, I should be Matrix, not you. And I thought that you were going to take it back from me. So she succeeded to him at some point. Did I miss that?
Yeah.
When was this?
Because, and then I verified it because the premise of the second book confirms that.
So what was the scene? Because I must have missed it. Did she literally just say?
Hold on, I'm trying to find it because I have pages marked, but I didn't mark what the pages were.
Because I'm just like, did I completely miss that?
Because it's before the scene with Adalah.
Let me see. Okay, so I'm at the scene where she says you lost your honor to an alien. Because all I remember is the scene where they're fighting to get back to the ship and they realize that, we missed a whole section. We missed the whole section of them going on to the other ship.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't talk about that. And how Sisterkin set them up.
That's a Sisterkin part. I love to talk about a Sisterkin part.
So that was crazy when they finally decided, when Seska was still under the impression that they needed to find this new world, and that would be their new way of life instead of killing the Zenzis. And she wanted to get the leaders of the other civilizations on board, so she tried to get a meeting with them. And long story short, the only person she was able to successfully agree to meet with is, I can't remember his name, but he was the leader of basically the white people, the pale, tall, white civilization. And they go on to his Zenzi. And that's when they discover that his Zenzi is thriving. Okay. His Zenzi is doing well. They've been on the same Zenzi from mad long. It was like hundreds of years, I think. And the only thing that they wanted 100 girls. And that's where the whole embryo thing came in.
Which was just so cool.
Wild. So we never discussed, was that the part where she succeeded to him before they went on to, because remember she tried to get him to go with her.
Okay, it's on page 298. It says, in the throne room, Doka is in the command seat with no heirs and no other wives. The position has fallen upon him in my absence. A strangeness washes over me, seeing a man in that chair, but I know he's ready for this. He catches my eye, looks me over, then waits for his guards to clothe me. Seska, where have you been? What happened to you? I've been busy trying to save our asses. There's no void leak. We tricked the system. So then we skip.
Okay.
Oh. There we go. It's like, slow down. You're not being rational. There's no time for slow and there's no time for rational. You have to abort the culling. Me, then you're not asking me to step down as matris? I had a whole speech laid out about how I'm more fit for this job than you'll ever be. I know that, and you're right. You're a better fit for the position than I could ever hope to be. I don't want to be matris, and I don't want to be your wife either. But I do want us to work together to do what's best for us and what's best for our worlds. We're good at working together, remember?
This is the part that really tripped me up because that's all she wanted. The whole book was to be matris.
The whole book.
The whole book. That was her whole motivation, was like she didn't want to have her line go out of existence. She was very adamant about being a better leader than her mom, the old matris. She was very adamant about Sisterkin not being matris.
Yep.
So if her whole motivation for the last 297 pages was her being matris and being this leader and like then how come we get to 298 and all of a sudden she don't want to be matris?
I don't know. That part was a little...
They make Adalah the reason, I'm gonna be pissed.
Let me just read the premise of the second book because, like, this, for those who don't know, the second book is out.
Which now I'm going to have to read immediately.
I'm definitely reading it because the way that this book ended, it left me with so many questions.
So many questions.
It was just like, oh, you know what? This is a good point. Well, she didn't really want it. She just didn't want Sisterkin to be in that role. That's actually a good point. Because all of her drive to be a good matris was to prove that she was a better choice than Sisterkin.
And only because she resented the hell out of the fact
that Sisterkin got the affection that she wanted from her mother.
And this is the part that upset me, was that we get a fade to black with Sisterkin, because the last I hear is like Sisterkin obviously set them up, because once they leave their shit.
Sisterkin was, I'm sorry, when Sisterkin lied to them and was like, I need the ship, flew the ship back to attack them, I was like, Sisterkin.
While they were on another.
While they were on, like, oh, they can
make a peace treaty. And then, you know, they were like, oh, we gotta go. And then Seska tasked, I think it was Wyatt, with go arrest her, and I'm gonna make sure it's gonna be as if she never existed. And then that's it. We never hear about Sister.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all.
I was like, so did they kill her?
Right. I was like, so is there, like, did we not mention that she's about to pop back up in the second book and raise more hell? Because that
right. Did she like escape on like an escape pod or something? Like, where is Sisterkin? Like, what happened? So book 2, she was dead, because I was like,
I'm gonna hope that she's not. Like, that's really my thing. I'm really hoping that she's not dead. She was such a great character.
She was an amazing character.
The second book is called Symbiosis. It came out February 23rd, so it's already out. Here's the premise for those who are wondering, because if you've gotten this far, then you were listening, you've read the book. So, okay, so it says, the imaginative saga began an escaping exodus in which a society lives in the belly of a beast, and an entire civilization's survival depends on a pair of uneasy allies who must come together for one epic battle. Nearly 1,000 years removed from Earth, the remnants of humanity cling to the existence inside giant spacefaring creatures known as Zenzi. Abused and exploited by humans for generations, these majestic animals nearly went extinct. But under the command of its newly minted ruler, Doka Kale, life in the Parados has flourished. Thanks to the careful oversight and sacrifice by all of its crew, they are now on the brink of utopia. And yet Doka's rivals feel threatened by that success. The Senate allowed Doka to lead their people, believing he failed spectacularly. a disaster that would cement the legitimacy of their long-standing matriarchy. Despite vocal opposition and blatant attacks on his authority, Doka has continued to handle his position with grace and intelligence. He knows a single misstep means disaster. When a cataclysmic event on another Zenzi world forces Doka and his people to accept thousands of refugees, a culture clash erupts, revealing secrets from the past that could endanger their future. For Doka, the stakes are bigger and more personal than ever before and could cost him his reign and his heart. He had fallen in love for the one woman he is forbidden to love, his wife Seska. Doka and Seska must work closely together to sway the other Zenzi worlds to stop their cycles of destruction. But when they stumble upon a discovery that can transform their world, they know they must prepare to fight a battle where there can be no winners, only survivors.
Mic drop.
So this is actually what I wanted. I was low-key hoping Sisterkin and Doka ended up working together to test out the picture. Because
remember until you said her name.
Sisterkin peeped what happened in the room in Seska's wedding night room, remember?
He did.
I really thought that they were gonna like come together and like really screw Seska over as Seska deserved. I was fine until the part where it's like Doka actually fell in love with her, and I'm like, what? Why?
Why?
Did you so wrong?
Why?
Sometimes.
She has done nothing to deserve this.
She does not deserve all of this love and affection.
It's so annoying.
I'm still gonna read it though. Do you think you want to continue the series?
Absolutely. I'm gonna be listening to the audiobook again and hoping and praying that I don't actually want to punch Seska in the throat.
You're probably going to want to punch Seska in the throat because now I think Seska is just chilling with Adalah and just making her actual husband feel a type of way.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. I think we've talked about everything we wanted to talk about. This was a 4-star read for me. Highly recommend Escaping Exodus. It was so good.
I really enjoyed it. It makes me want to dive more. I'm gonna check out The Prey of Gods. I love how everybody's like, just tell us how it goes.
I'm done. I'm done with this.
I'm gonna continue the series. I'm hope y'all listen. When I tell y'all I'm hoping for a Sisterkin moment in book 2, that's the only reason that I'm legit trying to read it, because I want to know if Sisterkin is gonna be like the resistance and like come through and like try to destroy everybody.
I'm very curious about this other civilization and how they work and who they are, and I'm very curious.
Yeah, I mean, facts. So that is the book that we read for this first 2 months. So the book that we are going to be reading for March and April with the discussion in April will be Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor.
Yay!
So, if you're wondering, here's the synopsis for this book. The new book by Nebula and Hugo Award-winning Nnedi Okorafor. She's the adopted daughter of the Angel of Death. Beware of her. Mind her. Death guards her like one of its own. The day Fatima forgot her name, Death paid a visit. From here on, she would be known as Sankofa, a name that meant nothing to anyone but her, the only tie to her family and her past. Her touch is death, and with a glance, a town can fall. And she walks alone, except for her fox companion, searching for the object that came from the sky and gave itself to her when the meteors fell, and when she was yet unchanged, searching for answers. But is there a greater purpose for Sankofa now that death is her constant companion?
Look, I was already living, but then when I got to the part when I was reading the synopsis about the fox companion.
The fox companion part. I mean, I was obviously going to read this book anyway.
You got me.
The fox companion, I was like, yup, it's happening. Like, plus, I am, this stays in our whole, we're trying to do more adult books. This still falls in the adult realm. This is still adult science fiction fantasy. This is a shorter read. This is a novella. So this, if you are a slower reader, like this gives you a little bit more time to read. I'm so ready And the cover is also stunning.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
The cover is gorgeous.
So I'm going to be listening to the audiobook, so I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, so we will actually be doing a book discussion on this book in April. So you have 2 months to read it. You can get it from your library, Hoopla, wherever you want to get it from. That's why we get 2 months, so everybody has time to kind of deep dive into it. But it is actually a short book. It is considered a novella. Yeah, I'm excited because our goal this year is to only read adult books. And, we have some lined up that I think you guys are going to enjoy. But yes, obviously my first pick is a sci-fi fantasy book. So
yes.
Yeah. Any more? Oh, Throwback-a-thon. So you guys know Throwback-a-thon this year is March 14th through the 21st with a live show celebration of Throwback-a-thon on the 21st. We are going to be taking a little bit of a break for March, so we will not be having any podcast plans unless something crazy happens and we just have to come talk. We're just going to take a break for podcasting for a while. So we'll be active on our social media for Throwback-a-thon, obviously. If you post a TBR or anything, don't forget to tag us. The bingo card will be available on our Instagram for you guys to get. And then I'll also try to remember to put a link to the bingo card in the description box for this particular conversation. But yeah, we're excited. We have fun things planned. If you don't want to participate by reading, the social media prompts could be fun for you. And then we also have TikTok challenges and IG story stuff that you can participate in. Any type of participation is just fun because that's what Throwback-a-thon is all about.
Absolutely. And we're going to have a lot of fun with it this year. We just want to be, just have that nostalgia that we love. And the theme this year is 90s and early 2000s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s sitcoms.
Yep.
So we're going to have a good time.
If you missed the video, then you can go ahead. The announcement video is on this channel, so you can check that out. It's a 3-minute video. It just gives you the reading prompts. But yeah, if you follow us on Instagram, the next couple weeks, y'all gonna be tired of seeing them graphics, but they're gonna be all Throwback-a-thon graphics.
And they are amazing.
Thank you.
You did that, Brittany. You did it.
I pat myself on the back. Once I climb, I was like, oh, it's happening.
Yes. And if you are a part of our Patreon, we will have a Patreon podcast for this month. So we will probably be filming that within the next week or two. And if there is a particular topic that you want us to discuss, then you can just message us. Can they message us on Patreon?
Yes, they can.
Then you can just message us on Patreon if there's something specific you want us to talk about in our Patreon podcast this month. And again, thank you so much to all of our patrons for your continued support. If you are interested in becoming a patron, we do have a link and it's on the screen as well, but we do have a link in the description box and we definitely appreciate your support.
Yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic night. Hope your start of your week is good. Remember to take time for yourself, read a little, and stay Black.
Yes.
See you guys later.
Bye everybody.